All right, welcome to the Raw Time Champ podcast. We are back with a new name, and if you can't tell, we have shed some of the dead weight. Just kidding. We we will have Calvin and Coy back with us, but they couldn't make it tonight. So,
One of them shooting guns, the other's playing pickleball.
yeah, that's true. So we're just gonna have a quick episode tonight. We're gonna talk about our name change, and we're gonna take two listener questions. So right off the bat, we changed our name to Raw Time Champ for a couple reasons. One of the big ones was our previous name, the A Zone, was terrible for searching and search engine optimization. So half the time we couldn't even find it. And so this will hopefully be a little bit better. So we might get move our listeners from 7 to maybe 8 or 9 people. And also it's I think a name that describes kind of how we are right now, most I think all four of us really, in our learning process. So we go over
Right.
that. So if you haven't heard this before, you might be saying, what is Raw Time Champ? And so it's I guess you would call it a strategy, I guess, for improving your speed. Is that fair to say? So I think my understanding,
More or less.
yeah. So if you've never heard anyone say this, you might be like, this is how I was introduced to it. You're at a match, and someone whose name is Matt is gonna just blaze through a stage. May or may not hit things. Lately, he's been hitting everything, but at first it was a little bit of a toss up. And then doesn't care about anything except what was the time. And so I remember thinking, like, this is crazy. What could the point be of that? So it was later, after shooting with Matt and other people that were doing this, it was later described to me as, and Coy described it to me this way, and this was what made it click for me. It's not just running around with your hair on fire, which is kind of what I thought it was. So it's prioritizing, minimizing unscored errors versus minimizing scored errors. So you make sure you do the things like positioning, movement, quick target transitions, quick gun handling, gun up at the right time, all of that stuff that's not really scored other than kind of inherently with the stage time. You try to do all of those things right. And then if you shoot decent points or not, that's kind of on the back burner for the moment. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. And I know, shooting carry optics recently, it was a little bit of a culture shock just trying to keep up with the people that are good at carry optics coming from production. I was not ready for that. So I've been kind of trying to use this mindset at matches, and I think I made some noticeable gains with my speed. Still got some work to do, but I think it's been productive. And if you'd asked me a couple years ago if it was productive, I probably would have had a different answer. So I think it's definitely, I've come around to it, and it's definitely helped a lot. So Matt, what do you think about this? You're kind of like the OG in DFW of doing the raw time champ thing. So
For me, originally the Raw Time Champ idea actually came from a guy who is currently down in Austin, originally from California, by the infamous name of Tony Wong. And it said, dude, what if you just like completely blazed the stage? It was at a classifier match in, I think it was early 2021. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I don't have anything to lose. I'm not interested in like whatever the score is for this field course. So how about I just go hair on fire kind of run? Time actually ended up being like, I think it was the third fastest compared to whoever else was also shooting the match for. I think I was behind an open and a PCC shooter for that one specific field course. And surprisingly, I didn't have any misses. All I ended up with were about approximately an equal amount of Alphas Charlies and then a couple of Deltas. And then it was like, this kind of speed actually is achievable if I just completely let loose of a couple of safety measures, not safety rules. So kind of delved a little bit more into it, said, hey, the natural progression for people that really get into it is speed first, accuracy, speed for accuracy catches up, that kind of concept. So why don't I just simply carry this on through? Now, Connor, you and I, both of us are naturally turtles originally. Okay, like we wanted points, and then time was kind of just whatever at back then. Now, as we're trying to get better and also win matches, time is really more the thing that separates most everyone else. Between masters and then A class, B class, that kind of thing. GM is very much more a different story where time is the same. Points is really what matters more. We saw back in what was it, Texas State. A lot of the times were kind of similar. Points is really what differentiated everyone else. So the thing that we really had to make sure of is minimize Mike's no shoots that were standalone by themselves. Otherwise, run every position as fast as you can, do all the reloads as fast as you can, try to nail alphas, and that's kind of where raw time jam has kind of ended up. Everything as fast as you can, nail the points.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned this, and I totally agree. Like we're both kind of naturally turtles as opposed to people who are naturally hosers. So I think probably most people listening to this have heard that term before. But we're more inclined to run, like if you looked at us at our first match, we're running around shooting everything, but we're way slow. So as opposed to people who run around really fast and shoot like double-digit penalties on the stage at their first match. So I think being more naturally inclined to prioritize accuracy, it's beneficial to do this because you force yourself to prioritize speed. And I think looking at it from the perspective of you have to be competitive on time, and then you also have to be 90% of points if you want to do well at the match. So
Yeah.
that if you're a turtle, the 90% of points is probably already happening, but you're probably multiple seconds back on stage times. So I think kind of changing your mindset and just being like, make the stage time happen. Like, what did the winner of that stage do it in? I need to do it in that time too. So just force the stage time to happen, and then kind of get the points to catch back up later. I think is beneficial. I think another way to think about it and kind of see the value in it is if you think about it on the flip side. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone actually do this, but if you think about it on the flip side, if you take someone who's naturally a hoser and you're already hitting the times, but they're just not hitting the targets. So just like, look, you're making the times. Just I want you to go through and shoot 90% of points. Like that's non-negotiable. Like for us, it's the times non-negotiable. For them, it would be the points. So I think if you look at it from that, it's like focusing on the thing that you're not naturally inclined to do. Which, if you think about it, that at least to me, that makes total sense. It's like, well, yeah, I should probably work at the thing that I'm not good at. So through that lens, I think it makes a lot of sense.
I think
But
a
yeah, I
simpler
think it's
way to
been
look at
productive.
it. Yeah, I think a simpler way to look at it is if you're a turtle, make a time standard. Okay, you can give yourself permission to fail at a higher speed. You're going to see your points drop. Just simply go at that speed and then figure out, hey, this is exactly what I need to do. I need to be focused in this exact spot in order to make those points at this speed. If you're a hoser, you're going to have those times. You need to make an accuracy standard and say, let's just say you're at a local match on a 32 round field course. You're going to permit yourself only 5 Charlies. That's it. Everything else has to be alpha. Just go.
Yeah, and so I think the bottom line is I think this is like the quick way to make the improvement. Like you could, if you're, let's say you're a turtle, you could just continue slowly grinding it out, and slowly you'll get a little bit better and shave a quarter second off here and there, repeat until you're competitive. Or you can I think you can cut the corner a little bit and shortcut it this way. So I definitely think it's been productive.
Be honest, if you're a listener of any of the shooting podcasts, you're not interested in gradual improvement. You want immediate improvement.
Yeah, I mean, the faster you improve, the better. And I call it a shortcut. It's not like you're I don't think there's a downside. I think it truly is a shortcut. Let me put it that way. So I think it's cool.
Besides,
I'm planning
also,
on.
like, let's look at major matches as well. Who wins the match? It's usually the guy who's the fastest with better points overall.
Yeah, I mean, you need both, right? So you should work on the one that you're not naturally inclined to be good at. But I will say one word of caution. I think if you get too entrenched in doing this for too long, it almost is hard not to. So if you want to go perform at a major match, you don't want to you don't want to feel like you don't know how to tone it back, if that makes sense.
Your goal at major matches is always remain in control, which is also where, if we want to look at another concept, is JJ's 3 levels. Level 1 of setting your standard for your base standard. 2 is your experimentation. 3 is your consistency and performance phase. That is like your 1 month leading up into nationals. That is where you're based.
That makes sense. And yeah, I mean, that's about all I have to say on the topic. Do you have anything else?
No, I think as a simplified concept, Raw Time Champ is do all the non-shooting stuff as fast as you can, and then if you're purposely going fast and shooting, understanding what your visual and grip errors are.
Yeah, I have one more thing to say. You do actually aim at the targets. So that was one thing that I don't know if I was even clear on at first, watching some people do it.
I think that's applied.
Yeah, like you have to, like you're not just literally just sending, if it's a 32 round stage, you don't just run to all the positions and send 32 hopers. Like you do actually aim, but yeah, that's probably goes without saying, but I remember questioning that a little bit. All right, I think we had a couple really good actually listener questions. So
yeah, let me just double check what our listener questions are. From Brian Levy, what are the unseen benefits of physical fitness?
Yeah, I don't know either. No, I'm just kidding. But so here's what I have. We thought about this question. Here's what I have. So usually we're out shooting 5 or 6 stage club matches, and a good club match probably takes no more than 5 hours typically, generally speaking. So even if that's in like the dead of Texas summer, it's not that bad. But the better shape you're in, I think you can handle like heat and fatigue better. So that'll even help you at a small club match like that. But if you go to a major match, maybe you're shooting 12 stages in a day, or maybe you're shooting 6 stages in 2 days, where you have to, wake up the next morning and do it all over again. At nationals, it might even be, 3 or more days. So I think being in better shape just helps you not feel so drained for the longer matches. And I think anyone who's shot a major knows this, but that actually is a big deal. So I think that's, in my opinion, that's like the one clear biggest benefit of being more fit is just not feeling extremely tired standing out in the heat for like 6 hours a day, 3 days in a row or something like that. It makes a big difference.
Or even if you're like one of the 9-10 hour people that shoot all day.
Yeah, especially if you're that. It's really a noticeable difference. So, yeah, I think that would be, in my opinion, the biggest benefit. One secondary, smaller benefit that I also came up with was, I think, like unusual positions. So definitely like going prone, being in shape. I think you can get down, and if the stage demands it, if you have to get back up from prone, I think that's definitely going to happen faster if you're just generally in good shape. Also, the last match we had a kind of a low port that you kind of had to walk next to shoot target. Like you couldn't see all. There were like 3 or 4 targets through this low port, and you couldn't see them all.
Duck walk through that, yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of are walking, but you're like in like a I don't want to call it a catcher's stance, but like maybe a little bit higher than a baseball catcher's stance. And so I think that
Asian squatting through it.
Yeah. But so I think that I'm not in great shape, but I'm in okay shape. And after that, my thighs was like, wow, I kind of felt that after doing the walkthrough, a handful of times and running the stage. So I think, someone in better shape than me probably could have, not even noticed doing that. And if someone in worse shape, they might have been like, oh my God. So just weird positions, particularly prone. I think those don't pop up all the time, but when they do, I think it's going to benefit you to be physically fit.
So my unseen benefit is actually kind of built upon your idea of like muscular and mental endurance, because partially the mental, because you're not thinking about how tired you are, but muscular endurance, it actually allows you better rest, especially if you're shooting multiple days. It's like, man, I gotta go to sleep. You need to go to eat dinner, go to sleep, that kind of thing. You're actually gonna get better sleep the night before your second day or third day, whatever. And so the better rest you can get, the more your muscles are relaxed, and actually the stronger you'll be throughout the entirety of the match.
That makes sense. I like it. Was that it, or do you have another one?
Yeah, that was it. I
Okay.
didn't want to stretch on this topic so much, but scene benefits, thick thighs for the boys.
Oh yeah, thanks, Brian. That's a good question. The one I don't think we've ever got that question before.
No,
But
we
so
haven't actually.
we had another good question too. So remind me what that was, Matt.
Yeah, from Sam Chow. Things people think make you fast, but is actually slower.
So this is a good one. I think this could have a lot of answers, but I think we came up with maybe our top one or two each. So I guess I'll go first again. But the one I thought of that I see this a lot is gaming the start position. And 99% of the time I think either doesn't matter as a best case, or it actively kind of it's awkward enough that it makes you slower. So let me give some examples of gaming a start position. Um, let's say I know if you're listening, you can't see this, but let's say you have to stand in front of a wall and put your hands on marks on the wall. And then the first target you're going to shoot is maybe one big step to either side. And so what people will do is instead of just standing normally in front of the spot and then taking a step as they draw and start shooting, they'll position their feet so that they don't have to take a step and then awkwardly lean all the way over to put their hands on the spot on the wall. And then on the beep, they do this super awkward draw because their body's in a weird position and have to like position their body over, but their feet are already there, so they're on a weird balance, and then they start shooting. And it's just you watch them do it, and it's like, man, you could have just done a normal draw and taken a quick step faster than that. And on the worst cases, you get a bad grip off the draw or something, and you're way slower because you have to fix your grip. So another example would be this even is just normal start position. So they do the wrist below belt start position is the standard one now.
Yeah,
And you'll see people, I'm sure everyone's seen this.
it's like riding right under the grip, right?
Yeah, their firing hand is in the normal spot, or even kind of pushing it even with that hand. But
Like a
then their
little bit high.
support, yeah, their support hand, they bring like I don't know if you guys can't see this, but they bring it like all the way across their body and position it like 1 inch in front of the holster just to make it a little bit closer to the gun, I guess. And I yeah. This one, to be fair, I don't know if I've ever seen this actually make someone slower, but I don't ever think I've ever noticed it make someone faster. It just
makes them unsafe.
it just looks exact. Yeah, honestly, even if they do it safely, just from a speed perspective, it just looks exactly the same. I don't think it actually really matters. But I guess if you practice doing that, then you should do that. You don't. But if I don't really see the point in doing a goofy draw. Just like it just doesn't seem worth it to me. Let me put it that way. But those I had another one, I think. Okay, so those are my examples of gaming start positions. Seems quicker, it's usually not. Another thing that people do that they think makes them faster but doesn't is constantly switching to better gear. And for the audio listener, I did air quotes around better. Because I don't really think it matters, but you see this happen a lot. Someone will, they're always changing their grips. And you should have grips that fit your hands, but you shouldn't change grips every other month, But they're always changing their grips. They're always tweaking springs. They're always swapping, small parts or trying different ammo is a big one. Trying different holsters, mag pouches, blah, 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 right? I mean, you could say it for any piece of gear. So even if it is actually better, which I don't think it is most of the time, but even if that piece of equipment is actually better, you're doing yourself a disservice just by switching it, because now you have to, instead of improving, you're spending your time practicing just to get used to the new gear. And then by the time you get used to it, most of these people are switching to something new again. So they never actually get used to what they're using, which means they never actually start improving. So those are my two things that I would not recommend, even though they might seem to make you faster.
Well, in that aspect, if you want to change gear, when would you do it?
Ideally, time that during like the off season, whatever your off season is. I definitely wouldn't do it like the night before a match, unless that match is just one that you're goofing around at in your off season. But even me, I'm not going to a match with new gear. It's not. I'd rather just not, because it's just gonna make me mad if something happens at the match. Yeah, I would say an off season. I don't see a point to change your gear in the middle of the season. All right, Matt, what you got?
Yeah, I guess it is my turn. All right. One equipment thing that I see every now and then is ammo that rides the power floor, especially if you're minor power factor only, just because you don't know if you're guaranteed to make chrono at that point. Because if you're that guy that likes 125.00001 power factor ammo, it's like, okay, cool, you made power factor, but what about this popper that might need calibration? And then you fail calibration after that kind of thing. So that's just going to upset you.
And then you get second at nationals. Wait, what?
I'm not going to go into that. I know a little bit. I know a little bit of detail of that.
I kid.
Yeah, not because the guy may or may not be Filipino.
I can joke because I'll probably never get second at nationals. So.
But yeah, like, look, make sure your ammo is very safe. If you really want to work on recoil control, keeping all other things equal, just like, hey, improve your grip. Like, work on a little bit of hand strength. Change up your arm angles, that kind of stuff. See what tension does to your body. The fundamental of recoil control is always grip. It's never effectively equipment. You can always do something for yourself better. All the other stuff is secondary.
Well, and I'm sure you've shot people's guns that, or shot people's ammo that was, basically below power factor, but maybe technically wasn't. It feels weird.
I've shot my own ammo that was also under power factor. It wasn't at a match, but it was it felt weird. The slide just feels sluggishly slow to what it should be. The dot doesn't return as fast, and it's just sure, this ammo works for Steel Challenge because there's no power factor in Steel Challenge, but
I still wouldn't want to use it. Yeah,
not even for USPSA at a local match where they don't use chrono. Like, I wouldn't even want that. I want something that'll snap the slide back to where it was faster than I could blink.
Yeah, like it feels weird to the point that like it's worse. Like, it's not even better. And also, even if I know you know this, even if they don't have chrono at your local match, it's still cheating to use subminor ammo. So I don't know anyone that does that, at least not intentionally, but guys, like, there's probably some people out there.
There's definitely some out there. There's definitely some people out there that use ammo that's under major to supposedly make the gun last a little bit longer. But even then, like, what's the point? Especially if you have to practice up to a higher power factor ammo. That way you're set to go for major matches. Just shoot the same ammo all year long.
Yeah, and I mean, like, just plain and simple, just because you didn't get caught, it's cheating. So if people are declaring major and getting scored major and are knowingly, like, I realize crap happens, but if you're knowingly doing that and still, declaring major, like, that, just plain and simple is cheating. But we're down a rabbit hole now.
Yeah. I'll say one more point as to things that people think are that think they're faster, but it's not. Super huge bodily movements, like super arm swings. Like, if you're trying to get momentum moving and you're not necessarily able to do that just by where you are, okay, fine, maybe. I haven't necessarily expended too much time on it. But it's also stuff like unnecessarily using a drop step in a place where you shouldn't, where you can just simply push off.
Yeah.
Like JJ in his field course class, and is also his one of his more advanced fundamentals classes. He goes more into that of more efficient movement. So if you have time, go experiment with something like that, or even just like any of the bigger guys, Ben, JJ, Max, KC, Tim. Notice how they're not trying to make the biggest movement. It is just simply more efficient movement.
Yeah, it makes sense. So I thought of another one literally just now, and I'm going to throw it out there. But goofy stage plans that save steps, or sometimes eliminate a position, or doing something that you really don't want to do, but you do it anyways because you save like 2 steps, or you can save a position or something.
Or just
So
get the
to,
magazine up to capacity.
yeah, so an example of that would be, I can shoot this target back here from 30 yards, and it saves me, 5 steps and a position. But the other option would be I could shoot it from like 7 yards or something. So like, sometimes it's worth taking a couple extra steps, is my point. So sometimes people do something so awkward in their stage plan that they end up doing it slower because it's awkward, or because they made the shooting so much harder that it would have been faster to just do the couple more steps or less efficient stage plan. It would have been faster to just do that because you can do it more aggressively.
Sometimes you just don't even need to lean out that much. Maybe you just need to get closer to that fault line.
Yeah, so that one, I think that one comes with experience. That's one that I'm still not great at, but just knowing when things are actually worth it in your stage planning.
Like, look at whoever's the winner, who's likely going to be the winner of the squad. Watch how they move around.
Yep. Alrighty, well, those were our 2 questions for tonight, and we really just wanted to kind of intro the new name and everything. So guys, if you actually listen to this, thank you, and we hope you'll stick with us. And if you know of 2 people that want to take Calvin and Coy's place on the podcast, I'm just kidding. They are coming back.
We need 2. We need applications for 2 new Asian people.
Yeah, we need. Right now, I'm not the minority anymore, and we can't have that. So, but no, guys, thanks for listening, and we got more coming up hopefully soon. So stay tuned.
Yay.